One thing that's really useful that you can do with strings is you can compare them. So we'll make this program called compare. And you can see that I already have the scanner set up because I am going to use some user input for this. So what we'll put is a couple strings. So first we'll put in the text that the user will enter, and then we'll have another string that will compare to it. So create a string my text and a string compare text. And then we'll put a couple prompts here. So system.out.print, enter some text, and my text is input dot next line, and then we'll copy this for the comparison text. So this time is enter some text to compare to it, and this one is going to be our compare text. There we go. So what we'll do in this one is we're going to take a look at all the different methods that are available for comparing these things. So the first one is one called equals. So the way equals works is like this. We're going to check true or false. So this is Boolean. So it's going to give us a true or false whether these two strings are equal to each other. So if my text dot equals, and then we put the string we're comparing it to in the parentheses. So we're checking to see if it equals to compare text. So now you cannot use, now this is very important, cannot use double equal sign to compare strings. This does not compute. This is only for primitive data types like an integer or a double or something like that. Because this is an abstract data type, you have to actually use a specially designed method to see if they are the same or not. So if this is equal, what we'll do is we'll put system.out.println both strings are the same. And we'll just do a quick test of this. System. I was close. So enter some text. I'm going to put in hello and then apple. Nothing happens. So now I'm going to put in the same thing again. And we'll put in hello and then hello, and it tells me that both strings are the same. Now something's important to note here when you're using these. If I type in hello and then hello with a capital H, nothing happens. These are not identical strings because they are case sensitive. So this is lowercase and this is uppercase. So equals is case sensitive. So what I want to do is I'm going to put in another method here that will ignore case sensitivity. So else if my text dot equals ignore case to compare text. Then we'll put a similar thing. So both strings are the same, ignoring case. So by putting the else if here, we already know that this was a false statement if this one is going to run. So this will be a situation where they are the same, although they might have different cases. and we're guaranteed that they both aren't identical with the same case. So if I type in now hello and then type in hello, it'll say both strings are the same, ignoring case. You'll notice that it does not show this first one. So equals is a very common one when you're checking to see if two strings are equal. Think of it as a replacement for the double equal sign because we can't use it. Now the next one is compare to, which is different. Compare to. So this one returns an integer value. So we'll take a look at what it actually returns. So system.out.println, and let's put in my text.compare to, and then we'll put our compare text here. Okay, so we're going to see what this generates. Now, if we put in the same text, we get a 0. Now, if we put in two things that are different, apple, zebra, we get the number -25. So how we'll use that will be revealed in just a second. So now if I reverse this, zebra, apple, it gives us 25. So what it's doing is it's assigning a numerical value to the different strings and then just doing a subtraction. So if we subtract a larger number from a smaller, we get a negative. If we subtract a smaller number from a larger, we get a positive. So here's how we can make use of that. I'm going to comment this out. So we'll do another if-else ladder. So if my text dot compare to, and now we'll ignore case as well. Compare to ignore case, compare text equals 0. So we have to put in a comparison here because this returns an integer value. Then we'll put here both strings are alphabetically the same. And then else if, and then I'll put the similar idea here. Now, if we get something that is larger than 0, I'm going to put in the new string is alphabetically smaller. And then the reverse of the case, if we get a negative, it's larger. So if I run this, we'll do apple and zebra. The new string is alphabetically larger. So I mean that in that this is further down the alphabet than this. Now we use ignore case because all capital letters occupy a place before the lowercase alphabet. So it will not work properly. Now we're going to do one last one. If my text dot starts with compare text, then I am going to put in here, oops, and I'll show you an application of starts with in just a second. The new string, we'll put begins the original. And then here, I'm going to put in also ends with is also good. The new string ends the original. So let's take a look at how that one works. Now, if I put in America, and then I'm going to compare this to just the letter A. So A is, yes, alphabetically smaller than America, but A not only begins the original string, but it also ends the original string. So both of these will be true statements. If I put in apple and an A, we only get the begin. And then one last thing is if I put in the same string, apple, apple, it says both strings are the same, they're alphabetically the same. The new string begins the original, yes, because it is the original. So the word apple does begin with the word apple, and technically the word apple also ends with the word apple. So that also gets triggered. Now, the last one that we're going to do is a little bit of an application with this. Sometimes you will get strings from, processed from some other part of the program that you're working with them that have spaces. So I've got a space, and I'll put in hello, and then I'll put in hello. And it says that it ends the original because what I've got here is a space and then the word hello, but it doesn't start. So what we want to do is we often want to get rid of accidental spaces that are either on either side of a string that you've got. So let's use compare text to help us decide if we need to remove them. So right after we enter them at the top, we'll do this. If my text dot starts with, and we'll put in a space, or my text dot ends with a space, then what we'll do is we will create a version of it that doesn't have any spaces at the beginning or end. So in that case, my text is going to become equal to a version of my text dot, and we don't often use this. It's only used for this purpose. Trim removes spaces outside of other characters. So now if I run this, I'm going to put in space hello and then the word hello, and you can see that it removed the space so that it can verify that these are in fact the same. So this is a complete listing of all the things that we're going to use as we're comparing text, and often just to make sure that they're working properly, we may also want to use this trim method just to make sure that they are identical.